and welcome to Spotlight. How do so many thousands of students get deferred for non-payment of school fees at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology? That's the question we have been asking in the last few days since the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology deferred some students for non-payment of fees. We should add that since then, some of them have been given the chance to reinstate. But we're going to be asking questions so we can understand the situation better. And we have on our bill a few people who will be giving us clarity into the situation. We have Michael Abua, who's the SRC president for KNUST, that's the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Peter Nochu Koto is a ranking member of education, a ranking member in Parliament on the Education Committee. There's also Yao Opoku Mensah, who's a Deputy Educational Ministry's PRO, and Dennis Labi, who's President-elect of KNUST. We'll be speaking with them shortly after this break. Please stay.
If you're into content production for digital or TV, say hello to the MX24 Studios. We're the prime location for your music video shoots, live productions, TV shows, and more. From state-of-the-art equipment to a very skilled production team, we've got you covered. Step into our modern and spacious studio with a changeable lighting system and foolproof sound. Our touchscreen studio projection monitors come with other features, including Wi-Fi connection, screen mirroring, and a remote workspace mode. Take advantage of our high-quality cameras to shoot in 4K and a variety of the best lighting equipment guaranteed to put life into your sets. Locate us on the first floor of the Silicon House building off the Boundary Road, East Legon. Give us a call on 024-235-5956 or 054-454-8612. You can also email us at info@mx24gh.com.
No topic is off limits. The pain of experiencing a miscarriage is something that can crumple your world. We're talking postpartum bodies and everything in between. And they share their story on their battle with infertility. The touching stories of the African woman rose before you.
I was disappointed in God, in life, in myself.
How many losses have you had?
After that, we had 4 more.
What?
I shouted, I said,
we lost vision, we lost any sound beyond crying.
Our mistakes, advices, regrets, real stories, and more on We Got This Africa. Na Ashako and her intriguing panel serve you real experiences of the African woman. We Got This Africa.
We got this.
The Saturday nights just got better.
With unimaginable excitement.
10 toes, one girl, make it touch it, touch it, touch it, touch it, touch it. Ow, ow, yeah, yeah, yeah.
The most heated rap battles.
Squad for the work claim soldiers, but on your campo, Bema.
I play you menace ready, it be me with the top. Godzilla self chop, who be King Kong.
And of course, your A-list celebrity interviews.
I've always said this though, there can only be one Bob Marley, so definitely there should be one episode.
Me? The threesome.
Orafu wa comedy woman nede. Yeah. Nyansa. Don't fuck. Lighter.
For myself, Ofoyua.
I'm Jason Alay, and I do this with the man,
DJ Varosky.
Why the party there today? Hey mama, hey I ever say.
Welcome back to Spotlight on MX24 television. Thank you for staying with us. Before we went on the break, I mentioned that we are discussing the case of 6,000 students being deferred. 6,000 students, that's a huge number, and we are attempting to understand the circumstances surrounding why. We have Yao Opoku-Mensah presently on the line. He's the Deputy Public Relations Officer at the Ministry of Education. Also, Michael Abua, who's SRC President at KNUST, is on the phone. Let me first go to the PRO from the Ministry of Education. Good evening, Mr. Opoku-Mensah. If you can...
Good evening, madam, and thanks for having me.
Right. When did this first come to your attention?
Okay, let me say a good evening to yourself and to my colleagues on the other line.
Right.
And if there is anybody in the studio as well. It came into our attention was drawn to it, same as you heard it.
Right. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. It seems we are having some issues with your line there. So, when you found out, what was the first move that the ministry made?
Come again?
What was the first move of the ministry where this situation is concerned?
Yeah, well, what we did was to ascertain from the ground if actually the report that we were getting was accurate. And so we have to quickly liaise with the university to ask a few questions. And per the briefing that we had, quickly we had to move to the ground to avert the situation. That is basically what we've done today.
Okay. Have you spoken with some of the students? The students affected, that is.
I'm
struggling
to hear from your end.
Okay. Have you engaged any of the students affected?
Are you asking whether if any student has been affected?
Have you engaged the students that have been affected? Have you spoken with any of the students?
Yeah, sure. And from our outfit, what we need, ascertaining the information, again, we have our own way of getting to verify the information on the ground.
Right.
And the SRC president will attest to it. So, and again, we engaged in the university outfit to ascertain the validity of the information that we were getting.
Okay. Right, let me just go to, we have the SRC president, so let me get most of the information from him. I'll come back to you in a moment. Michael, you're on the line. Hello, Michael, can you hear me? Michael Abua, can you hear me? Okay, we'll come back to Michael shortly. We're just going to attempt to get him back as we have issues there with his line. But let me just quickly go over the issue that we're dealing with here. So we're dealing with an issue in the University of Science and Technology, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology in Kumasi, where some students were deferred for non-payment of fees. According to the authorities, the total number comes up to 6,000 students who are affected. This is a huge number. And of course, it raises a lot of questions. So as we speak presently, about 3,550 out of the 6,000 have been able to clear their debt. Some through their own means, some received some help from the Dean of Students and some other organizations. But we have Dr. Daniel Boris Bakoy. He's on the line. Let me just go to him and see if we can get any information. Dennis Labi, are you on the line?
Yes, I am on the line.
Okay, great. Dennis is the president-elect of the National Union of Students. We had you here just a few weeks ago. Good evening.
Good evening, madam.
Thank you for joining us. Now, what is the present situation on campus?
A quick information, as a point of correction, I've been sworn in, so I'm no longer president-elect of the National Union of Ghana Students.
Noted.
As I speak to you currently, campus is calm. Students are going about their normal duties because a lot of the outcry that was heard over the few days, we found lasting solutions to it through a concerted effort of all parties and stakeholders. As we speak, the Minister of Education has visited the campus. CEO of Student Loan Trust Fund 2 has visited the campus. The National Union of Ghana Student Secretariat has also visited the campus. The SRC, through concerted efforts, has been able to raise some funding to support some students. I'm rightfully informed that over 3,000 students would have their monies be disbursed over the course of the days ahead. Some have already received funding to support them pay their fees. And as I speak to you, to the Student Loan Secretariat has agreed that from Monday going, they will set up a post on campus so that the remaining students can access student loan. Then the university is credited with the student loan so that the students can be beneficiaries of it. Again, the university management, after discussions and negotiations, have extended the deadline for payment to 23rd May. So from now to 23rd May, students have the opportunity of paying and registering. I believe that this is a good grounds for all of us, and for all of us who got ourselves involved in this advocacy and discussions and negotiations. I believe this is a good thing, and it is good news for us.
Dennis, hitherto, have there been any situations like this? Is this the first time?
For the numbers involved, this is my first time I am getting involved, or I'm getting such information that 6,000 students stand the risk of deferring.
Is this a policy that has been long-standing?
The policy was enacted last year.
Okay.
And it's starting this year. This is the first time it's been enrolled on Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology campus.
Interesting. What role did the SRC play in these engagements since the situation occurred?
I think that the SRC has been the main mouthpiece in engaging the stakeholders and finding a lasting solution to it. The SRC, led by Mr. Michael Aboa, has been very, very spotlight and has provided sterling leadership, where it has been at the defense of students and has also engaged various parties with the support of the National Union of Ghana Students, engaged the National Secretariat for Student Loan Trust Fund. We've drawn the attention of parties into this. So the SRC has been a main stakeholder or a main pillar for the negotiations and engagement that has ensued.
Would you say these engagements have been fruitful?
Hugely fruitful, because as it stands now, if you're a student and you really do not want to go home, there is no way you're going to go home, because one, about 3,000 of our students are going to receive financial support in various forms. Two, the Student Loan Secretariat will be setting up 2 posts on campus so that whoever wants to avoid deferring and wants support can receive support from the Student Loan Secretariat. 3, the deferment situation or the deadline for closing of payment of fees has been extended to 23rd May. I believe that at the National Union of Ghana Student Secretariat, this is nothing short of success. This is something that we hoped and called for, and we've received it. So we are very happy.
Dennis, before all of this, we had reports that some of these students are not exactly financially challenged. They used their fees for different things themselves. Is this true? You know, we heard things like using their fees to gamble for different ventures, some using it for business. Are you aware of this information?
Just like yourself, I picked it up in the news. I have not received any official report from any student that he used the money for something of this sort. But then I picked up these informations from the news and from some media outlets. But from our end, we believe strongly that the majority of students are people who genuinely cannot make the financial commitment that is placed on their shoulders. So it is not a matter of having.
But Dennis, I'm sorry. How do you determine that the financial constraint is genuine?
So, like we mentioned, we as stakeholders work with students, and if you take the SRC KDN fund, there is a process that it goes through where it interviews students, it engages the students on some pertinent matters to verify the authenticity of the student's claim for financial need. And these are issues that we could rely on to make emphatic statements of this nature.
Right. When we look at the figures, we also see that although a significant number have now been able to clear their debts, there's also still a lot of students here who haven't cleared their debt. How are these students going to be helped?
So, I mean, if you listen to my conversations or my presentation earlier, I mentioned that the SRC, the Students' Aid Office, the Students' Financial Aid Policy, the Dean's Office will come in to also support some of our students in the coming days.
Right.
Again,
I'm sorry, let me get this clear. So you're saying... Sorry, Dennis. So you're saying... That's fine. I'm just saying, so what you're telling us is that beyond this number, there's some students who will still be helped in the coming days.
Yes, please.
Right.
And the Student Loan Secretariat too has assured us that they will be setting up posts here on campus for these purposes, so that students who are part of these figures can, as soon as possible, register, get approved, and receive financial aid for their loans for their fees.
Right. Dennis, thank you so much. Let me just go back to the Deputy PRO from the Education Ministry just to get his responses on that. But Mr. Opoku-Mensah, we see that the SRC is putting in a lot of effort. How is the ministry helping them?
Yeah, today when we moved in, the idea was to avert the situation, and that is what the KNUST president is narrating to you. The minister went in with a plan just to be able to stop the defeat on the street. So fund setting up a base on campus. And within the coming days, we want students to go in to register. The no guarantor student loan policy. But what Minister pointed out to authorities is that we don't want a situation whereby after student has registered and their data generated to the school, that these are the students that the Student Loans Trust Fund will be helping out. We don't want school authorities to be chasing them out of campus and out of the examination hall. And if they want to deal with the student, they should deal with the accredited institution that have decided to help them out. And I think we need to point out that clearly in the conversation that we are having, so that we wouldn't be having students on the street. But other individuals have helped, as he rightly said. Faculties are helping, other individuals are helping. The student the GET Fund, Secretariat plus the GNPC. But the fundamental aspect is that we are, through this, telling students of KNUST that if you genuinely need help and if you genuinely want to complete your course, I don't think you have any cause to complain, because Student Loan Trust is setting up a site on campus next week. And from now up to the end of the month, or from now up to when exam starts, you can't tell us that you were unable to patronize anything, all these support which is coming out for
Mr. Opoku-Mensah, with all these interventions, I mean, when we listened to Dennis earlier, we see that he says the policy was just instituted last year. Are we looking at a possible reversal of the policy?
No, from the ministry outfit, mind you, KNUST, that will be for management to decide. But if you look at the numbers, I think KNUST has got a huge number. 93% of the students do not fall into the category that we are discussing.
Okay.
It is the 7%, which translates into that 6,000. And again, some are already on Government of Ghana scholarship. And the only difficulty is that as at the time the policy was implemented, their funding hasn't yet been paid up to the school. So if you take all these numbers out, I think you'll get a handful. You get a handful. And even if immediately that was announced, the SRC has negotiated for time for students on 3 different occasions. And the school has listened to them and we're expecting that others will comply. But when we looked at it, others were not complying. Probably they may have a genuine problem. So that is why this intervention comes in. And that is why at the end of the day, no student who actually want to be on campus and continue his study can't tell the good people of Ghana that I didn't get any help. The last result is what we are describing. Just get to the student loan trust, register with them. Your data will be generated and given out to the school. The school wouldn't come after you. The school will be dealing directly with the student loan trust. That was why the CEO, the minister himself, came down from Accra to sit with school authorities so that we can have a peaceful atmosphere, have our exams, and continue with our study. And basically, that is what happened. And I believe we are very optimistic that our students will comply and at least help the system stabilize in that aspect of getting money to settle their fees.
Mr. Opoku-Mensah, what about these questions of misappropriation of the funds by some of the students? Have you had to deal with anything like that?
No, that should be a private conversation. We from our outfit, we only went in to survey the situation. And I don't think there can be any probe into if you have your money, use it for this purpose, and you use it for another purpose, and then authorities are coming after you. I don't know where the misappropriation of funds. I think their parents will have to deal with that. And again, today, Minister rightly advised the school that there are things, some of these things, there should be a mechanism whereby parents wouldn't be giving money directly to their wards, but they will pay into an account of the school.
Right.
And the school won't take notice of that and issue out receipt to these students. But if in a case where they don't have any means of paying their fees, parents paying their fees into a certain account, then some of these things definitely will happen. So I think that is some of the way, the suggestions that were put on the table that were gladly accepted by school authorities. And we are hopeful that by the end of the day, before exam starts, this ugly noise will be out of our ears and we will have a smooth academic takeoff. But this should also be a warning to students as well. If you do value the sweat and toil of your parents, if you do value your educational progress, if you are given any money for payments to be done to school, I think you need to be doing the needful. Comply with whatever directive that your parents give out. Pay it out so that you can have peace on campus and continue with your study. So I think well-meaning Ghanaians, including yourself, you have a bigger platform. I think we need to be advising students on that. We need to be advising students on that to make sure that they desist from those characters. Mind you, today we are stepping in and intervening for you. Probably you may not get it tomorrow, but I think it's fruitful that this discussion were held with the school authorities, by the minister himself, and it is an assurance that come what may, every deserving student, anybody who deserves to be in school, will have a peaceful environment to study and contribute to the general well-being of our development.
Mr. Opoku-Mensah, we see there's a lot of effort here to help these students that have been affected. In other schools, would it be the same effort?
That when we get to the break, definitely we'll cross it. This is what I've come to for. And again, I schooled at KNUST myself. I just recently, just 2 years ago, I completed my master's program with them. And I remember in the course of writing our exam, if you haven't paid up to 70%, the school authorities will come after you. But we were not hearing the word of deferment. And I think the school authorities did their best as well, notifying defaulters on countless occasions. SRC and GRAS are negotiating on students' behalf. And I think that they did their best, but it's up to the students to also show that level of appreciation to what the authorities did. And I think they need to help authorities in that line so that we can have a smooth takeoff. So they've done well, but we still continuously will have to advise students for them to understand their role. And parents, as Minister rightly advised today, they shouldn't only be engaging students on that line. Parents are stakeholders in the school. There should be an avenue whereby parents will also have an interaction with the school and help out in matters like this, so that we can avert it quickly without climbing up, so that we wouldn't be hearing these ugly noises again.
Mr. Bog, in the future, do you think the school could take a different path, perhaps engage the ministry before taking such an action?
Well, as I indicated, these are matters of management issue, and it becomes very difficult looking at it, probably what you are suggesting. But when I will still stay again and maintain that when we get to the bridge, definitely we will cross it. We will cross the bridge and see what we can do.
Thank you so much, Mr. Opoku-Mensah. Yao Opoku-Mensah. He is the Deputy Public Relations Officer at the Ministry of Education. We are discussing the deferment of some students due to non-payment of fees at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. 6,000 students in total. So far, over half of them have received some assistance. We're going to come back to this particular topic shortly. We have other people on the line to be speaking to the issues. We'll be right back for Spotlight. Stay with us.
If you're into content production for digital or TV, say hello to the MX24 Studios. We're the prime location for your music video shoots, live productions, TV shows, and more. From state-of-the-art equipment to a very skilled production team, we've got you covered. Step into our modern and spacious studio with a changeable lighting system and foolproof sound. Our touchscreen studio projection monitors come with other features, including Wi-Fi connection, screen mirroring, and a remote workspace mode. Take advantage of our high-quality cameras to shoot in 4K and a variety of the best lighting equipment guaranteed to put life into your sets. Locate us on the first floor of the Silicon House building off the Boundary Road, East Legon. Give us a call on 024-235-5956 or 054-454-8612. You can also email us at info@mx24gh.com.
Angelina, you be cool in my temperature. If you call,
say cheese, take a picture. Shaka post, make a see, take a picture.
in the leg book, boah.
Why the party there today? Hey mama, hey I ever say. Secure.
All women were created differently with unique attributes. From managing a home to being entrepreneurs, through the ups and downs, we almost always win.
As I said, in the early stages of breastfeeding, what your body is using to make the milk is what you ate during pregnancy.
Adoption is a blessing. So if you want to adopt, it's a good thing to do, but just make sure that you do it in the right way.
The brand new season of the Talkative Mom Show is double the education, double the information, and excitement.
And then I actually realized nobody cares. Yes, nobody cares.
Yeah. Join me, Eno Kragren, and my guests this and every Sunday on MX24.
The Talkative Mom Show is proudly supported by Gokul's Healthy Options and Cerelac.
Hi there, I'm excited to come your way with football conversations, sports-related conversations, light-hearted, lifestyle-related conversations about the sport that we all love and are passionate about. Make a date with me.
Welcome back to Spotlight on MX24 television. Thank you for staying. We're still discussing the deferment of some students at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology for non-payment of fees. Some of them have since had the deferral reversed. Some of them are still affected. But if we're taking the word of Dennis Labi and the PRO, Deputy PRO of the Education Ministry, Yaopoku Mensah, for it, all of these students will get some relief in the coming days. We have on the line Honorable Peter Nochu. He's ranking member on the Education Committee in Parliament, and he's on the line. We still have Dennis Labi, who's president of KNUST. He's still on the line also. But let me go to Honorable Peter Nochu. Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining us on Spotlight.
Yeah, thank you, and good evening.
Yes, thank you, Honorable. Honorable, have you been aware of this particular situation where 6,000 students were affected?
Yes, I am aware of the situation where over 6,000 students have been asked to defer their courses because of a non-payment of fees. So I am very much aware of it. Yeah.
Has Parliament made any intervention as we speak?
So far, I cannot say so. Because we are on recess. So as individual members of the committee, we are only appealing to the university authorities to revisit a position and then make it possible for the students to continue with the semester week so that they are to pay by the close of the semester.
Honorable, would you say this was the right way for the school to handle this situation?
Well, according to information from the university, they have laid down procedures for which students who have financial challenges could access or make them available so that they agree on payment terms. I'm sure they have exhausted those opportunities. So what is left for them is to defer. But we are looking at it from two different angles. One is the humanitarian, and then the other is the long-term effect that will to have on both the students and the university. Because as students, they will have to lose one academic year because of the deferment. Then for the institution, when all these 6,000 plus students are ready to come back next academic year, there will be so much pressure on infrastructure. So will the university be able to admit fresh students when these students return? And looking at the infrastructure deficit that we have in our university. So we are of the view that when they have done their best, but they can still give them the opportunity to pay their fees. let them pay, let them continue with the senator and earning, so that when they are returning from holidays and about to register for the next semester, you make them pay out everything that they owe, so that they can register them as students. That is how some of us are looking at it and advising the university authority to do for them.
Honorable, one of your colleagues in 2021, we had a similar issue to deal with at the Ghana Institute of Journalism, where some students were also deferred for their programs because they did not pay their fees on time. One of your colleagues, Mahama Yariga, started a proposal to have fees absolved by government to prevent such episodes. A few parliamentarians kicked against it. How important do you think it is now?
Yeah, you see, last year we saw the situation that we're just coming out of COVID and other associated economic challenges. So there was the need for government to come to the aid of students in our tertiary institutions. But some of the MPs, they said the majority side, did not see wisdom in the motion that was moved by Honorable Mahama Yariga. If that motion had been carried, I'm sure this situation in which we find ourselves now would have arisen. So there's the need for government and parliament, when we resume sitting, to look at this thing holistically, the word of party interest, so that we see how best we can finance the tertiary education in the country. But in the meantime, we are of the view that those students who have serious financial challenges can be rolled on to one of the three funding sources for students in the country. One is the Scholarship Secretariat, which is under the Office of the President. They can take up this matter and then see how best government can intervene. Although we know for almost 3 years now, monies have not been released to Scholarship Secretariat. This is an emergency, and it is for the state to come to their aid and see how best they can redeem the students from this embarrassment. Then also we have the student loan trust fund. Yeah, we just amended the act which removes guarantorship. So government, on the other hand, can also pump funds into the money into the fund for the students to access immediately and pay their fees. And finally, cash fund can also assist some of them. Because they also have a scholarship scheme for tertiary institution students. So I think these three are there for government to explore immediately and then help the students out of this situation. So those are the things that government can do immediately to resolve the matter for the students and the university.
Honorable, do you think the school could have approached this differently so we don't have this whole situation out there like that?
Well, the fact is that it's not only KNUST which is having this problem. Other universities also have. I know you have this problem. They have also not come out. Maybe other universities will also have. But it's only that of KNUST that we have heard of. So as I'm saying, they say there is a timetable for you to pay 70% of your fees at a certain time. They have defaulted. That's fine. So let us not blame the university authorities too much, but let's rather appeal to them that, no, we have heard you. Yes, it is your right. But can you reconsider your position of making them defer their courses by allowing them to continue to the end of the semester? I think this approach can help solve the problem to me, so that government will also make sure that it releases money to these agencies so that students who need it can access the loan and continue with their studies.
Right. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us and for giving us some clarification there. We're grateful for your time. That's Honorable Peter Nochu. He's ranking member on the Education Committee of Parliament. I'm just going to go back to the line where we have Michael Abua. Michael, good evening. Thank you for staying on the line.
Thank you very much.
Apologies for keeping you waiting, but I think we lost your line when I was starting to engage you earlier. But if you can just give us a bit of clarification. Are you on campus?
I'm currently on campus, and we've
fantastic.
had... pardon?
I said fantastic. What's going on campus, especially among the students that have been affected?
Students now are very happy upon a communique that was released by the university, extending the deadline by a month to have government intervene and absorb students that are left to have to pay arrears. I think that comes with a very great news that the SRC was able to have a lot of appeals and be able to have government finally coming in. I must say that I appreciate the efforts of the Honorable Minister Yahweh Bichum, the President of Ghana, for listening to the voices of the ordinary students here in KNUST.
Some of these students have been accused of using their school fees for different purposes. Is this confirmed?
I must be honest to you that we had a situation where on live TV a student had to take the opportunity to apologize to his parents that he uses money for business and betting and so on. But with the conditions that we have, you know very well that a lot of students find themselves in a situation where they were needy. They had genuine concerns. Some of them were in scholarships. It's a very reason why government comes to intervene and absorb the fees of the many needy students who have genuine concerns now.
Right. Do you think these students are also, I mean, you mentioning that there was an incident, how are they going to make sure that these monies are not used for the wrong purposes going forward?
I think that one agreement that was made with the discussion that we had is that the monies and funds that will be coming from the Students' Loan Trust Fund will be paid directly into the university's account. And as at the moment, the students that came on live TV to speak about a situation where he's using money for businesses, as of now from the data we have, has gone to the bank to pay his fees. And so it tells you of a picture where most students will now be in a situation where they wouldn't have to think about deferral, and a lot of students now would have to concentrate on their books and make sure that they prepare adequately for the final exams.
Would you consider the proposal of amending the policy? Because we spoke with your colleague Dennis earlier, and he was just making us understand that this is a new policy from last year. Do you think it should be amended in any form to avoid future occurrences like this?
Yes, it should be, but we should amend it in such a way that it wouldn't jeopardize the internally generated fund that the university needs to run. And so it's most important that the policy is fine-tuned in a way that would not affect the ordinary students that will be on scholarships, the ordinary students that will be absorbed by the Student Loan Trust Fund, so that needy students wouldn't be having to be thinking about deferrals. And also, we need to also get to the grounds and let students understand the policy and also consider the concerns of the graduate students. The GRASA president is currently working with management to fine-tune the policy in a way that would have a greater benefit to the graduate students. And so all these things are things that the university would hopefully be looking at.
Did the SRC know about this move before it became public?
The SRC knew about it. We've been calling for an extension from the January. We had an extension 24th of March, appeal for another extension to 7th of April. We also appealed to management to allow students to write exams mid-semester.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, I'm sorry, there were two extensions.
About two extensions, because UTAC strike also put the university in a situation where they had to extend it again, and students having not to pay after that extension, we had to come in as an SRC to appeal. And so with the semester coming into, we had to go out there to appeal again. Last year, we had a situation where students were sacked from the lecture rooms. So it's quite very fortunate that this year we didn't have students being sacked from mid-semester exams. And so we are in a position where students are now very happy that there is an extension for a month where government is absorbing fees of the very few who are left to pay.
Did you have any engagements with government when you knew about these issues? I mean, I see the timeline, you asked for some deferrals, but what engagements did you have before it came to crisis?
We had an engagement at the crunch where we realized that the SRC had committed funds and government had to call. Myself, I had calls from the coordinators of the Students' Loan Trust Fund. The National KNUST Secretariat was also great on the line with us, connecting us to some government officials to help us. We had Honorable Echo Vincent also had to call me as of yesterday to also ascertain and have issues on the ground to communicate effectively to the presidency and government officials. So I think that it is of this reason that we had the President of the Republic of Ghana to have to get the minister to intervene on our behalf. And it is with this that I need to stand and appreciate the efforts of government in this intervention.
Could they have intervened earlier? Were they engaged earlier? I believe that is important to know. Did you engage them before now?
We had management to engage with, because I feel that as an SRC, we need to deal with internal issues first. If we exhaust all the internal issues, then we look on the outside and call government to come in. Right. I think that we have been proactive enough not to escape the channel of communication in regards to communicating in the university. And it's quite fortunate that we have an intervention now.
Do you think the school could have approached this differently, or did they exhaust all means? Because like you said, there were some engagements, there was some concession which was given.
I think that the only thing that we saw lacking was that the school could have communicated instead very well so that students could understand. And I believe that with the many engagement that we had with the university management, there was no extreme posture that showed that they were not so concerned about the issues. And so I feel that the only lacking issue with this very policy was the communication.
Michael, there was a similar issue like this somewhere last year in 2021, where the Ghana Institute of Journalism had some students also having to defer for non-payment of fees. I don't know if you listened to my engagement with Honorable Nochu, but there was a proposal in Parliament for government to absorb the fees to prevent such episodes from occurring. Would you support a proposal like this?
I think I would support. I saw a message from the Honorable Okujoto Ablakwa on his Facebook account, where he said, as at the time government were looking at the bills of various universities, it was important that they really look at situations where students who are needy will be considered in situations like this. I think that's the most important, that moving forward, after all these consultations, after all these good feedbacks, we get to the table and deal with the real issues. And I hope that this would not be the time to play politics with the educational system in Ghana, but to look at the real issues that need to be dealt with.
All right, thank you so much, Michael, for joining us. If you have any last words, we'd like to hear them.
Yes, I need to take this opportunity to thank each and every student, university management, for considering the appeals and cries of students, and to thank my colleague students for their support and confidence in us as an SRC, and also to President Nana Akufo-Addo for his support and government's intervention in this situation. Thank you.
Are there any extra interventions you think could make this situation better? I mean, in our conversation with Mr. Yaopoku Mensah and with Dennis Labi, we've been made to understand that the situation is under control and all the students will be helped. Do you think anything more could be done?
As you said, we need to look at the policy and look at the substance of the policy and have a fine-tune of the policy to situate the current circumstances that came with the many cries and the media outlook of a very bad cry of the whole situation. I think we need to get to the substance of the policy and have a real look at it. That's the best possible means to do that. And I think that government needs to play a role, Parliament needs to play a role, university management, cross-board need to play a role in this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Michael Abua is SRC President for the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, giving us an update there on the 6,000 students who were forced to defer due to non-payment of fees. As the situation stands, it seems to be under control, according to the Public Relations Officer of the Education Ministry, Yawo Poku Mensah. We also heard from Dennis Labi, who is president of KNUST. We also heard from Peter Nochu, who's ranking member of the Education Committee in Parliament. And to you at home, we're very grateful for spending 1 hour of your evening with us. On behalf of everyone here at MX24 Television, we are very grateful for your time. My name is Noang Falong. We have more news and stories on mx24online.com. Do check out our website and catch up on all the news and exciting updates. Good evening.
Shut up and bend over, eh? And let your backer do the talking over. So back up, back up.
You guys are doing beyond what a regular would do, and I'm attracted more to that. I like people who want to do something different, you know, not the usual TV.
What's up, guys? Your boy Kiddy, aka the Golden Boy, aka Sugar Daddy. Catch me on MX24.
It is fun, it is fearless, it is factual.
Angelina, you be cool in my temperature. If you call,
say cheese, take a picture. Shaka post, magazine, take a picture.
in the leg book,
Why the party there today? Hey mama, hey I have a same. Shake your body.
The Saturday nights just got better.
With unimaginable excitement.
10 toes, one girl, make it touch it, touch it, touch it, touch it, touch it.
The most heated rap battles.
Squad for the work with soldiers, but on your campo, Bema.
I play you menace riding, it be me with the top. Godzilla self chop, who be King Kong.
And of course, your A-list celebrity interviews.
I've always said this though, there can only be one Bob Marley, so definitely there should be one episode.
Me? The threesome.
Orafu wa comedy woman de. Yeah. Nyansa. Don't fuck. Lighter.
For myself, Oforiwa.
I'm Jason Alay, and I do this with the man,
DJ Varosky. Why the party there today?